You know what time it is? It's 2 o'clock. Well, in like 2 weeks, but whatever. It's getting close. Let's step into the huddle.
Ready.
You're listening to the PreSnap podcast brought to you by LineStar App, the top-rated DFS tool set and #1 companion for DraftKings, FanDuel, and Yahoo Daily Fantasy. Go LineStar Premium now at LineStarApp.com. Now here are your hosts, fantasy football experts Joe Pisapia and Scott Bogman.
Hey, yo, what's up, everybody? It's me, Joey P. Joe Pisapia, and welcome to the PreSnap right here on the LineStar app. It is me, it is Scott Bogman, and it's you, and we're recapping week 6 in the NFL, looking ahead to week 7, and we got a whole lot of news to get to right here, DFS-wise, and that's what we're talking here on the podcast, courtesy of the LineStar app, the greatest DFS tool site in the history of the universe. So go out there, go get the LineStar app. We're almost halfway through the season. What are you doing if you haven't gotten it yet? Seriously, like, you need to start looking in the mirror and start evaluating your life, because you're missing out on a lot of great information, and you're missing out on, like I said, it's in terms of creating lineups, researching stats. It's so helpful. It's how we prepare for the show. That's how we prepare the lineups. And Boggs, it was a wild week 6. And as I teased at the top of the show, it looks like next week we're going to get Tua getting a start in the NFL. How about that? It's a feel-good story in 2020.
It is a feel-good story. I will apologize to everyone who is not ready for the dad joke, like right at the very beginning of the show. So my apologies for that, of course. But Joe is a dad, so be forewarned. He's going to have dad jokes. But yeah, I'm excited for Tua for sure. I mean, we don't have to worry about that this week. And it sucks a little bit for Ryan Fitzpatrick, because I don't think he's played real bad, but I'm guessing Tua is just shredding it in practice. So they're going to wait till after the bye week and then fire him in there. And we're ready to see it. I tell you, all my backup Tua shares, I'm happy now because of the, rotating door that has been quarterback this year for sure.
Yeah, well, look, I think that's the whole season's been a rotating door. Just kind of how it felt. And obviously, some great performances in week 6. Certainly, Derrick Henry comes to mind. I mean, Derrick Henry, the 200 yards rushing, the 2 touchdowns, the whole thing. And that, not to be lost in this, although very frustrating for me, because I had, in fact, this lineup topped out at 160 points, right? It was Derrick Henry, it was Ronald Jones, it was Kirk Cousins, and all the garbage Kirk Cousins. It was still pretty good, still got me by, right?
Yeah.
And it should have been way more. And I lost Jonnu Smith, unfortunately, got me 1 point. And that was, I was like, look, 160. And it's the difference between winning $9 in a tournament and $100 in a tournament.
Yeah.
So that you can't take any L's, unfortunately. So there was an L there. But actually, let me rephrase. Actually, that lineup was Ryan Tannehill, Derrick Henry, AJ Brown, Ronald Jones, and then Jonnu Smith.
The Titan stack. Yeah, the Titan stack line.
And you know what? I'm mad because I didn't have any Texans in it. And you know what? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I'm in now. I'm in with Cooks. I'm in with Fuller. I'm in with Watson. I'm in. You can have David Johnson, but I was impressed with the Texans, Boggs.
Yeah, I mean, look, they shredded Bill O'Brien, and I think they're playing with a little more passion now as well. Like, you know how it goes in the NFL. You can watch the Jets right now. When a team doesn't believe in their head coach, they're not putting in that second effort. They're not grinding as hard as they could be, and all that good stuff.
I didn't know the Jets put in a first effort. I was waiting for that first one.
Well, the Jets are probably a different story than everybody else, but I mean that's why Bill O'Brien had to go when he got into a shouting match with JJ Watt. When your team captain is questioning your head coach, one of them has to go, and it ain't going to be JJ Watt in Houston. So Bill O'Brien gone, and the Texans pick it up. And that's, specifically Randall Cobb, 21 targets over the last 2 weeks. He is clearly the number 2. Kenny Stills has taken a back seat, and, Randall Cobb has taken a back seat. So it's all about Brandon Cooks right now.
Yeah, I mean, look, Fuller's been good. There's no doubt about that. And Cooks has been excellent. So we'll see if they continue to keep that trend. The Eagles have a trend, too, of having everybody on their team hurt. Miles Sanders is going to be out this week. You're going to miss Zach Ertz for a couple weeks. I feel like this Thursday, and, we're not really talking about this game because it's not on the main slate, but I feel like Thursday Night Football is a playoff game, basically, because I mean, really, if you think about it, if the Eagles win, they
Yeah.
are right in the driver's seat. And if they lose, don't look now, but like it could be the Giants division to lose, because I got to be honest with you, bro. After seeing not only the Eagles fall short again, which I know we all expected, it was nice that they showed up at the end of the game. But oh my God, Dallas on Monday night with Andy Dalton, we got the answer to our question, and the answer was false. False.
Yeah.
Like Andy Dalton cannot run this offense, and there is no defense to be played in Dallas box. That was a dreadful showing by the Cowboys.
I mean, I read that the defense is the worst in NFL history through the
Worst
first 6
in NFL
games.
history. It is. They also,
Yeah.
by the way, the offense is not helping. They have 15 turnovers already. They had 17 last year throughout the entire season.
When you're on your backup quarterback already, who they will not let throw the ball downfield, he had 38 completions for 150 yards or what? It wasn't that bad, but it was pretty bad. So, when you have that going for you, you can't have your main running back fumble the ball so many times. And Zeke just had butterfingers yesterday. He cannot hold on to the ball. It didn't look great. And you're right. This Thursday game might be a playoff game simply for the fact that this division isn't going to have a winning record when they get into the playoffs, right? Isn't the winner going to be 7-9?
Well, the last time that's happened, it was I think the Carolina Panthers in 2014. They were 7-8-1. I think I saw that.
Yeah.
Today.
Yeah, I don't think any team is going to have a winning record in this division. Unfortunately, I think the Eagles are the best, but they're also the most banged up. So they would be my pick as it stands right now. Obviously, it was Dallas before Dak went down, but when Dak went down, it changed the whole scope of that division, even though the division was already bad. So I wouldn't be surprised if anybody makes it, but my pick right now would be the Eagles because eventually they'll get a little more healthy.
I agree. In fact, I would probably, that's the narrative I'm writing too. It just seems like that would be the way to go, that eventually they get healthy and eventually in the second half, these teams are going to beat up on each other. But Dallas just looks terrible. I mean, just what a horrendous game for them. Obviously a great game for the Steelers, a fantastic showing. Obviously they're just handling the Browns, but good news, Browns fans, because the next couple weeks, boys, the schedule light. In terms of the defenses they're playing, it's going to get rid of Cincinnati, they get Seattle, they get all these teams where there's no defense. So don't worry, things are going to go right. They had a tough 2 weeks here with Indianapolis and Pittsburgh back to back. Let's talk about the Falcons too. Another coach fired, another rebound. Falcons going out there with the Vikings. And I was talking about this on the TV today. I know everybody wants to write off Kirk Cousins, but I think it's like a $20-something million cap hit if they release him next year. So they're going to have to find a trade partner or something, because I don't know if there's a way out of this for the Vikings. Like they might be stuck here, and that is frightening.
Yeah, I mean, look, Kirk Cousins, he's Jekyll and Hyde, and that's why I said on the Black Book Show, I hate him. And it's not a real hate. It's not a real hate of the person Kirk Cousins. It's a hate of the quarterback Kirk Cousins. Because
if he dies, he dies. He said it.
Yeah. Look, it's super difficult to pick a Vikings game. It's super difficult to know when to start Vikings players because you just don't know what Kirk Cousins you're going to get on a week-to-week basis. Luckily, he had some garbage time salvage him in this game, but the first half was abysmal, as it has been for him most of the time this year. So, Justin Jefferson actually, I think, is the highest rated wideout on PFF right now. He's been incredible. So Justin Jefferson is a nice safe bet, I think, moving forward. Other than that, it's Dalvin Cook when he comes back, and the Vikings are they're hard to pick. They're hard to pick, and they're hard to know when to start.
Yeah, well, ain't that the truth? And speaking of starting too, I heard some rumors that they were going to start maybe Gardner Minshew. Like, what are you doing? Are you really Mike Glennon the way you want to go about things? Really?
Yeah,
Doug Marrone?
Look, Gardner's been bad, but he's, we've seen the Mike Glennon show before. He's got more
fantasy points per game than a lot of other quarterbacks that would shock you.
Yeah, it's because he's ineffective in the first couple quarters and then plays in garbage time, which will get you benched eventually. But
I love it for fantasy. It's so good.
Yeah, as long as he's starting, he's a good start. So I like Minshew for DFS moving forward and for fantasy. It's just, his grasp on the job is definitely tenuous.
No, look, there's no doubt about that. And, obviously last week too, there's a lot of bad, the Giants-Washington game was bad. the Dolphins got up to an early lead on the Jets, and that went, how Jets got shut out of that game. Broncos Patriots was terrible. Bears Panthers was underwhelming. There's a lot of crappy games, basically.
Yeah.
To be honest, like week 6. Week 6, there was like a couple. You had the amazing Titans Texans, and it was a fun story with the Falcons, and the Eagles made it close. But man, for the most part, week 6 was kind of gross. I'm just gonna say it was gross.
Yeah, it was weak sauce. I mean, there was some excitement even in some crappy games like, the Giants and the Washington football team. Riverboat Ron gambling and losing was fun to watch. But yeah, the Broncos and Patriots was terrible. The Jets getting shut out. The Bucks just taking it to the Packers. Are the Bucks the best defense in the NFL, or is it the Steelers?
No, it's the Steelers. The Bucks just, what the Bucks did is they punched Aaron Rodgers in the mouth and he folded up like a tent. Like they did. They picked him off and he saw ghosts everywhere for the rest of that game. He threw another pick after the pick 6, and it was just like he couldn't get out of his own way. And this is my argument all the time when people want to tell me how great Aaron Rodgers is, and he is. He's great. He's a Hall of Famer. I get it. Stop putting him in that he's the all-time greatest quarterback nonsense conversation. It's nonsense.
That's not a conversation for anybody. I mean,
it's a conversation that anybody with cheese on their head is having this conversation with me on Twitter once a year. And
Brady has 6 rings. So
Brady has 6 rings. That's the end of the conversation. And after that, we could talk about Peyton Manning. We could talk about Drew Brees. We could talk about Joe Montana. We could talk about Dan Marino. We could talk about a lot of those quarterbacks. I will take this to the grave. Brett Favre won 3 straight MVPs, went to 2 straight Super Bowls. Brett Favre is a better quarterback. I would take Brett Favre in a second over Aaron Rodgers. In a second, if I was starting a team. Aaron Rodgers isn't even the best quarterback in his own organization. There, I said it.
Oh, man. I think it's pretty close. I think it's closer than you give it credit to, but I would take Favre too.
3 straight MVPs. 3. I don't remember Aaron Rodgers winning 3 straight MVPs. Or getting a lot of Super Bowls. Just saying. Remember losing some games to the Giants a lot. And Father Tom Coughlin with his rosy cheeks.
Well, let's not, I mean, you're not one to bash losing to the Giants, right? I mean, come on.
I know it, and I know it so well that I can live it out. So here's, for me personally, the things that went wrong. I mean, we could talk about it with you too and your bombs. Let's do the terrible first. Aaron Rodgers was terrible. Maybe that's why I'm so mad, because I had a lot of Aaron Rodgers in cash. Devontae Adams, Aaron Jones. And after the first quarter of this game, I went, all right, we're going to roll this one. No, not to be said, not to be done. Aaron Rodgers stuck it to me in all those lineups. He crushed me. It was terrible. Alexander Madison was terrible. He was chalk, and he was bad. He only had 3.5. You want to take a guess of how the $1 million contest, how highly rostered he was?
How? Let me know.
37%. How about that?
Man, yeah, it looked like a great matchup. And honestly, I yanked a bunch of the Vikings and Falcons players out of my lineups because this game was in question.
I know. I did the same thing.
COVID test. So
and
I didn't
the
have.
Part was I wish I just left it alone.
Yeah,
never gone back.
Even with a bad play on Madison, it still would have been worth it to have Matt Ryan and Ridley and Jefferson and all those guys.
Here's the thing. I was all in the wrong side of this. I was on the Minnesota side, and I keep giving them benefit of the doubt, and every time they keep sticking it to me. So that was a disaster. Jonnu Smith got hurt. That was a disaster. The good news is that there were some good things. Ronald Jones, just 10% rostered, 25 points. We were all over him and his $5,800 salary on FanDuel. Chase Claypool, we went back to that well. He got a 16. Yeah. That's pretty good. Kenny Golladay didn't have the touchdown. Otherwise, it would have been a very good day for Kenny Golladay. But look, we were very much about Derrick Henry and Tannehill and that Tennessee stack. So if you had that, things were good. The $1 million lineup had Matt Ryan in at 31.64 points. That's pretty good right there. It did have David Montgomery, who we were on, who was terrible. He was 19% rostered. He only had 11 points. I'm done with him. He's dead to me. And at Derrick Henry,
he was good the week before. Why do you keep saying he's dead to you?
Dead to me. I've had it. It's over. I can't do it anymore. Because this is the thing. He has a matchup against Tampa, which is again Thursday night, so it didn't really matter. But he played well against Tampa, and Tampa's defense is great.
He
did, and he shouldn't have. And then the games where he's got Carolina, why does he suck?
Isn't it less about David Montgomery and more about the bad play calling from
Of
Nagy?
course it is, but they go
Okay.
hand in hand.
They do. Okay, but like
separate
but
one
if
without the
Nagy's,
other.
well, you sound like you're done with Dave Montgomery permanently, right?
I'm at least
and
today. Right now,
okay.
I'm done. Talk to me
All
on
right.
Thursday when the other show comes out. I'll be back.
Okay.
We'll see how it goes. I am done. I am so old. Oh,
I mean,
baby,
they
come
play on Monday
Oh,
this week, so we don't have to worry about him this
thank
week.
God.
So we
That's
get a
right, they
week
do.
off.
Thank God. And watch, he'll be really good, and I'll be right back here next week, miserable. So once again, we keep talking about how, the winning lineups are chalk with one off. Okay, here you go. Matt Ryan, great. Montgomery sucked, but whatever. Henry, Calvin Ridley, Julio Jones. I mean, they were right stack. Justin Jefferson. It was the Atlanta, Minnesota stack. It was just all the right pieces of it, which was Ryan, the two receivers, and Justin Jefferson. It had Ronald Jones, which we had, Pittsburgh Steelers defense, which we had, that put up 18 points against Cleveland. What was the one off, you say? How about 2.8% rostered Trey Burton, who had 4 catches for 58 and a touchdown, 19 points. That's it.
He had a rushing touchdown too out of the Wildcat. He had 2 scores. So
Matt Ryan was only 3.7% owned, but it's so funny. Once again, everybody trying to be so weird. No, stop being weird. Just find that one piece. And honestly, I feel like there's a trend here, Boggs, which is tight end is not good. You kind of talked about this with me before the show. It feels like that's the spot that just take a flyer. If you get it right, you get that touchdown or 2, the rest is gravy. And I think that's going to be my approach going forward, because it seems like a trend. It's the one thing you can, like, that's where the strange is coming from. It's always coming from tight end.
Yeah. And this week, remember, I told you, if I went back to the Logan Thomas well, and I said, if it doesn't pay off again, I'm going to be done with him forever. But he scored a touchdown. So
he did. And he's only 5K this week, by the way, coming into the week.
Yeah, he's real cheap. So I'm liking him. I don't know if he's going to be a play for me this week, but against Dallas, his rough. You know what? Yeah, he is going to play. He is going to be a play. I just double checked. I'm like, who are they playing? Oh, it's Dallas. Yeah, he's going to be a play for sure.
I mean, here's the question you keep asking yourself. Like, does it matter? Like, can even Kyle Allen do something? Like, can it be anybody at this point? And I guess the answer is yes. I
don't know why they don't go back to Dwayne. Like they need to lose a game here to go back to Haskins, and I don't get why Kyle Allen is in there right now. Like I said, it's got to be something off the field that Ron Rivera doesn't like, or some coaching habit or something that he just does not like about Haskins, and that's why he's gone, because he wasn't playing. He was playing better than Daniel Jones, and Daniel Jones is still the starter, even though the Giants are terrible. So I guess they won this game against Washington, so you can give him that. But, I mean, did the Giants win it, or did Washington lose it? I mean, which one would you say is more accurate?
Very deep. I would say Washington lost it, to be honest.
Yeah, they went for 2 and lost it. So, they were right in there as well, even with Kyle Allen. I think they would have won that game with Haskins. And I was and I still am a Daniel Jones guy moving forward, but he just has not put it together this year. So, doesn't look good.
No, he has not. All right, so that was week 6 in a nutshell. Let's look at week 7. So we already talked about the playoff game on Thursday night. So let's talk about the rest of it here. Panthers and Saints. They get the Saints coming off a bye here. Obviously, it's a great matchup for Kamara. We would imagine we're going to have Michael Thomas. So it's like all systems go in the dome. So I guess here's the question. Are we going to be just all in on the Saints? Because that's typically what we used to do. Like, I remember the old days and normal times. I remember the good old days where we used to get over there and have Michael Thomas and Drew Brees and feel good about it. Do you feel good about it?
No, I don't. I feel okay about Alvin Kamara, and that's probably it. I don't know if I want to start Michael Thomas his first game back. He's probably going to be really expensive, even though the matchup is great. I just don't know if I want to jump right back into that well. So for me, I don't see myself doing a Saints stack. I think it's more Alvin Kamara and not much else.
I think for me, I would go with Alvin Kamara too. I think I would wait. I'd pump the brakes. It's not a terrible idea, but it
might open up everybody else too. Manny might get a little bit more, and Traquan might get some one-on-ones and stuff, and maybe even Jared Cook will get more involved. But I want to wait and see what it looks like before I dive feet first.
Yeah,
in,
I think that's fair. I would say in cash, I feel good about Kamara. In tournaments, you're right. Traquan, maybe even Jared Cook, since tight end is terrible. That's the kind of interesting strange there that I would strongly consider. Bills and Jets. Oh boy, Bills defense is going to be very expensive this week, and rightfully so. And look,
They
I
should be
think
bought everywhere, by the way. I mean, you should buy
I
the
know
Bills defense. I mean, you're probably going to get a shutout. The Jets offense is pathetic. It's terrible.
it's really bad. It's really, really bad. But you know what? The Bills have got to start running the football. That
Yeah.
this is a problem. And I'll tell you what, Clyde Edwards-Helaire ran amok on Monday, and even more to the point, like if you're Buffalo, as the weather starts to get worse and you can't run the football, that's gonna be a problem. Like you need to have, it's got to be Zach Moss or Singletary or somebody besides Josh Allen. And look,
Well,
I'm not gonna
Josh
take,
Allen's looked like crap 2 weeks in
yeah,
a
but
row.
like I can't take too much out of a game on the road and then a game against the defending Super Bowl champs that look in the rain. Like I'm not
I
gonna
can't.
get too much.
But I can because he just didn't look right, and that's really what it was. There's something off about Josh Allen right now. It doesn't matter against the Jets. They'll beat the Jets up and down the field, but he's not playing his best football right now.
Well, look, I love that because that means that the roster percentage is going to be low on Josh Allen, and I'd buy right back in against the Jets because they're terrible.
Yeah.
So, and you could get him and Diggs
bad
together and just go roll. I mean, there ain't nothing wrong with that. I can tell you right now. Browns and Bengals. Here's the thing, the Browns, I'd love to be throwing a lot of Browns out there, but there's not a lot of health. The one thing I will say is I am back in the Kareem Hunt business this week. I told you I'm going to take a 2-week layoff. He's 7K on FanDuel. Gimme. I want him against the Bengals. They're terrible defensively. Back into T. Higgins. Now, AJ Green had a good week too. Do you want to get back in AJ Green here or just go back to Tyler Boyd? Okay.
No, I'm not going with AJ Green after one good week. Come on. But you're right about you're definitely right about Kareem Hunt because it's the Bengals are 27th in the league, giving up 142 rush yards a game. So I think Hunt's going to get the majority of those. So Hunt is going to be a pretty easy buy this week, regardless of his cost.
Yeah, I would agree. And you know what? Just across the board there too. Yeah, it's back-to-back, down weeks. I won't say bad, just down weeks for like Boyd and Higgins and stuff. But, they faced Baltimore and Indianapolis back-to-back. Before that, they were both, having some great weeks there.
And Higgins was okay. He just didn't get in the end zone. I think he still had over 100 yards last week.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm Joe Burrow's fine. I mean, but the Browns defense is the strength of their team. So I don't know if I am legit concerned for Joe Burrow's health this week for Myles Garrett up against that offensive line. It is going to be ugly. Going to be ugly for Burrow.
Yeah, I could see that. I definitely could see that. All right, let's continue to move on here through the rest of these games. Coming up, we got the Cowboys in Washington. Now, normally, look, I mean, this is pretty bad, but I think you cherry-picked the right piece. Logan Thomas would be that piece that I would feel good about regardless, and the rest I just can't get into it, and I have zero.
I like a contrarian play on Gibson this week, just because
because of McKissick.
Yeah, well, no, McKissick actually got more involved last week,
right? But that's what I mean because he was good going.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's because Gibson had so few touches last week, but he doesn't need a bunch of touches, especially against this Cowboys defense, which is horrific. I think we see our first like giant explosive touchdown from Gibson in this game.
Now, what do you do with the Cowboys right now? Because, coming off that Giants game where Dalton came in, things looked good, but he looked terrible against Arizona. I mean, absolutely dreadful. He was throwing balls to the other team. He was missing guys. He was just all over the place. It was not good. I mean, and I know they got Washington, which is a winnable matchup, but I have zero confidence. Like, I can't start any of these guys against Washington, and I'd like to. I just can't. And Z keeps fumbling the ball. It's just terrible.
Yeah, I think Cooper and Lamb are somewhat safe. Other than that, I don't, Gallup was low on targets this week with only 6. Cooper and Lamb still both had 10 in garbage time. And even if, if this game gets away from them and Washington is winning, which, I mean, I couldn't imagine saying that last week, but I can now after watching them on Monday Night Football. I do think there's still going to be a little bit of garbage time for those wideouts, but I think that's it. Maybe Schultz if you're taking a deep shot on a tight end, but he's a little bit more than a deep shot, so I don't think I'd go with him either. So you're right; it's tough to start any of these Cowboys moving forward.
Well, you
got to watch them put together a game. Like that's what we want.
I know, but that's the problem. It's like, do you want to have that one lineup just in case they put it together this week? Because this is a week to put it together. But then again, yesterday should have been a day to put it together, and they didn't against Arizona, who defensively is missing Chandler Jones. And look, I want to give Budda Baker a ton of credit because
Budda looked great.
Man, he
Yeah,
was
he's definitely
dominating.
player of the game.
Oh my
By
God,
the
he
way,
dominated that game.
Washington second against the pass in the NFL, only allowing 270 yards per game,
Yeah,
ninth in
them and the
total
Giants
yards.
have played surprisingly well on defense this year.
Right,
I'm just
right.
saying,
So this is just not the matchup to start your Cowboys. I
I
wouldn't do
can't
it.
do it. I can't do it. Packers and Texans. There's going to be a lot of throwing in this one. I can
Ooh.
tell you that right now. Give me Watson with Fuller. Give me Watson with Cooks. That's fine. Give me him in the receivers. You want to take a shot on the tight end? Okay, fine. I imagine the Packers will bounce back. I imagine you look at the Texans' inability to stop anybody on defense, and you got to imagine go back to the Aaron Jones well, go back to I'm not going back to Aaron Rodgers, but I'll go back to Jones and I'll go back to Devontae Adams.
Yeah, you got to go back to Aaron Jones in this game because the Texans are dead last in stopping the run, 32nd out of 32, 177.5 is what they're giving up per game on the ground. So Aaron Jones is almost a must start this week, which makes me want to take a little bit off of Rodgers and the receivers. Maybe not Adams, obviously, but I don't want any ancillary pieces. Maybe Tanya is a nice shot if his price is good too. But yeah, that's it. It's the Aaron Jones week for sure.
No, it's 100%. So if I had to pick one guy, it's Jones. I'm sure Adams will bounce back and be good, but I'm with you on that. And against, I'm taking the running back from the Packers and the wide receivers from the Texans. And Deshaun is always a good play. He's only 8K. I think that's pretty reasonable considering how good he's been the last 2 weeks. Now, here's another guy I like. How about Deandre Swift against the Falcons this week? Can I get an amen?
Amen.
What do you think?
Yes, you can.
61K on FanDuel. That's the price right now. I like this matchup. I really do. I love Kenny Golladay too. I mean, you can't not like him. He's always going to be in that mid-7 kind of range. 76 on FanDuel. It's a great matchup. I mean, I don't know if this lasts like more than a week with the Falcons just going bananas. Do you think it does? Like, should we go back to the Matt Ryan, Julio, and Calvin Ridley well again? Or are you going to miss out again?
I'm okay with that. I'm definitely okay with that. I mean, the Lions are middle of the pack in stopping the pass, 15th, but we know this is going to be a shootout because that's what the Falcons like. The Falcons defense is so bad that that's just what they dictate. They're actually 5th against the run, but it's because they're second to last against the pass. No one has to run on them. The Falcons, they just can throw the ball as much as they want on them, and that's what teams have been doing. So yeah, I'm good with starting both pieces of this lineup.
All right, Steelers and Titans. This is a good one too. This is a really good matchup here. Look, I as much as I am enamored and everybody is of the Steelers defense, they're gonna have a tough one here. This is a real matchup here. And
yeah, this one sucks. I'm not excited for this game for my Steelers because the NFL always trends towards the offense. And that's what the Titans have, the best rolling offense in the NFL right now. So this really looks like a great matchup of the Titans offense and the Steelers defense, but it makes me hesitant to start a guy like Derrick Henry as well, even though I do think he'll still have a pretty decent game. I don't know if he's going to have that gigantic game that he's had the last 2 weeks. So this one kind of takes some pieces off the board for us, I feel like.
Look, it's going to be interesting to see if Tannehill can have another good game. If Derrick Henry can just keep rolling downhill on anybody, and it's very possible. I don't think it's a bad play to have any of those three guys. And if Jonnu Smith is out, I go back to that tight end too, because I think that's a guy you can look for in the red zone too. Ferkser. Yeah.
You're afraid
Anthony
to say
Ferkser.
his name?
Well,
thought it would get bleeped?
I thought it might. I thought it's possible.
It does sound like a curse. Ferkser.
You Ferkser idiot. You
Ferkser.
You made a statement on Black Book this week, and I'm want to bring it up here on this show, that the potential is there for a get right game for Juju.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because we're gonna have to keep pace with we're gonna have to keep pace with the Titans this week. So I think Ben could open it up finally. It's been a lot of Steelers and Titans, it's been a lot of running and play defense for the Steelers. But I think against this Titans team, they could need to pass the ball. So we might see Ben open it up a little bit, and I think Juju will be the beneficiary.
Seahawks and Cardinals. I can tell you right now, this one should be fun too. I mean, these two quarterbacks running around. Probably chalky, but the good kind of chalk. I'll be right back on DK Metcalf. I'll be right there with Kyler Murray. You could go any combination you want.
This is the stat game. This is a stat game.
It's Chris Carson. It's no defense. This is what it is. This is what it looks like. And I'll tell you what, because the rest of the games on the slate, Chiefs, Broncos, I'm not enamored of. I never big on the mile high stuff necessarily. I don't know. Chiefs coming off a good win, no doubt about that. But I don't know what's going to happen here with Allaire after that huge game. And then Le'Veon Bell coming in. Do they ease off because of the huge game? There's a lot of uncertainty right now here with where to go with the Chiefs and a lot of cost. And that's a bad combination. And then the 49ers and Pats is another game. Mostert's out. Who the hell knows what that game is?
Nothing. There's nothing in that game.
And then Jaguars, Chargers, which you can now this one I've got some attention to. I think Williams is in play. I think Hunter Henry's in play. Herbert's been very good. The Jaguars receivers have been okay. I mean, Keelan Cole continues to be decent. DJ Shark, when he's healthy, he's a good player. I mean, just telling you, he's basically caught every ball that's been thrown to him all year. It's just whether or not he's healthy. But I think you're right. I think Seahawks, Cardinals, that's the big one. Packers, Texans, that's another one. What would be your third of all the games? Would it be Lions, Falcons, you think? Or would it be Steelers, Titans?
No, it'd be Lions, Falcons for sure. So
right.
Steelers, Titans feels nice, but, the Steelers really, really, jumped down the throat of Cleveland early. I really don't think that's going to happen against Tennessee, but I do think it's in the realm of possibility. So I want less for that game than I would with. I don't think we're going to get defense out of Atlanta ever. So I think Detroit versus Atlanta is easily more stackable.
Yeah, and just real quick, just kind of looking here at some of the prices. You're getting some discounts. Ben Roethlisberger 74 on FanDuel, Herbert 75, Tannehill 73, Stafford 73. There's a lot of like low end quarterbacks this week to kind of just be aware of that. Yeah, I understand it's tempting to go up to the board for like the Kyler Murrays of the world, and that's probably still the right way to go, especially in cash. But I mean, who's to say one of these other quarterbacks, one of these four we just talked about, can't match somewhere near that because of the matchups they got?
Yeah, I'm with you. Particularly that Stafford play is my favorite against the Falcons. It's like I think 2 auto starts in just one lineup that you have every week should be whatever quarterback plays the Falcons and whatever defense plays the Jets, right? I think those are some of the most obvious picks that we can have. And maybe whatever quarterback plays the Seahawks, and that would be Murray this week. So
yeah,
I might
like
pay
$1,000 difference between those two guys because Murray's at 84, Wilson's at 87. On the running back spot, look, we already mentioned Deandre Swift at 61. Jones is 85. Again, these are just the FanDuel prices. We'll talk more DK stuff on Thursday. It's just what I'm looking at right now. Kareem Hunt is at 71. So in terms of the defense, you got to pay up. Obviously, the top of the board is Buffalo, 5K. The Patriots defense at 48, I think, is odd. You can go down a little cheaper or get the Chiefs against Denver at 46. I think that's a better play, to tell you the truth. And then the rest of it, it's, I guess, just choose your color because the rest of them are kind of, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to trust the Saints, but they're at home. It's very difficult.
DFS is going to be great this week. I really feel good about it. Picking these games, I feel like is going to be a little more difficult than it has been in the past.
I could see that.
So
I could see that.
I'm definitely there as far as I feel like there's going to be enough decent plays for DFS where we can pick and choose and be excited about a bunch of guys, but picking these games is going to be way more difficult this week. So
yeah, I wonder if Washington is like a sneaky defense this week. Just from the turnovers alone. I mean, they
played well. Yeah, that's a nice sneaky thought, but I can't imagine not paying up for Buffalo this week. No, I want to find the discounts wherever I can.
Well, look, for me, right away Buffalo on defense, it's Buffalo and Kansas City. Those are the two that pop to me. Like it's just, Denver just struggles moving the football. It's just why would, in terms of offense, they have none. Kansas City's just, looks like they're back on track after the hiccup. So I wouldn't worry. I think Kansas City's going to roll. If you want to get different from the bill, not that the Jets are going to be good, but if you just need to save $400, that's the drop off. That's what I would do. So that's just how it looks.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. The Broncos, I mean, they did beat your Pats this week, but it was more the Pats beating themselves. They have no offense. They couldn't get out of their own way.
There's a lot of value too in the 7K range of wide receiver. So if you don't want to go up to the top of the board, you got Galladay at 7.6, you got Diggs at 7.5, you got Lockett and Metcalf 7.3 and 7.4. You got Terry McLaurin at 7-1. There's a
God, that's an auto.
That's another one against
Put him
Dallas.
in there against Trayvon Diggs. Yes, please.
I know.
Thank
I just
you.
wish the quarterback play was more consistent. AJ Brown is down at 68. Will Fuller's at 69. Cooks is down there too. He's way under there. So look, there's a lot of options here at wide receiver. It's going to be fun. Cooks is all the way at 59 on FanDuel. Mike Williams is 59 too. So ton of value this week with wide receiver, which makes you kind of just, get quarterback right, get the running back right. I love Swift this week. I think that's definitely a way to go. So in terms of trying to like last week it was Ronald Jones. I feel like this week it's Swift against Atlanta. Like that's the guy for me. And I could be wrong. Maybe it'll be Adrian Peterson, but at least hot take, that's what it feels like.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's both of them.
That's true.
They split carries. I mean, obviously Swift way more effective than Peterson last week, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's both of them at all.
Yeah. All right. Well, if you want to get the rest here on the show on the pre-snap, make sure you go over and you subscribe to the show. That way, when the DFS show drops on Thursdays and on Friday, the wagering show, where anywhere you listen to podcasts. So go subscribe to the pre-snap by LineStar, the DFS show. And that way you can spend some quality time with Bogman and myself. And in the meantime, in that day in between, you can follow us on Twitter and spend some quality time with us at LineStar App, at LineStar NFL, at Bogman Sports, at Joe Pisapia 17. That'll do it for us. We'll be back with the DFS preview, ready to rock and roll on Thursday morning. There's nothing left to do now except down, set, win.
You've been listening to the Pre-Snap Podcast brought to you by LineStar. Hit subscribe, drop a review, tell a friend, and stay tuned for the next episode from fantasy football experts Joe Pisapia and Scott Bogman.